The people you are seeing on the screen, this person you are seeing is Toji Bello and Adaleru. And these are people who have been giving Nigerians sleepless nights, who have been maiming, killing, kidnapping innocent Nigerians, particularly from the axis of Katsina and Zamfara states. I want to believe that the same way the salutary leaders were arrested, the same way you guys will be arrested and prosecuted. Because they say there is no peace for the wicked, and I want to say that there is no peace for both of you. Because you must pay for the crime against humanity in this country. The only thing I want to encourage federal government to do, particularly the president, Senator Tinubu, is that he should ignore the lies of Gumi, who have been making so much effort to discourage the armed forces from using kinetic approach to fight the bandits, and go ahead to acquire monopoly of coercive power to smoke all of these recalcitrant characters out of their hiding places, set them running and bring them to justice. Because for me, that's what makes the government ultimate. There is no room for negotiation with such character. I must say that I'm particularly happy with the approach of federal government sequel to the issue of forest guard. Though personally, I've been an advocate of that the governors should not just go by the governors and the chief security officers of their respective states. Rather, that they should be allowed to parade some level of security powers. And I want to believe that the issue of forest guard that the federal government are giving so much energy is a way to give the governors that security power. And I want to believe that the same way Enugu State government have embraced this, because we can clearly see that Enugu State government have started engaging personnel for that operation. I want to encourage other states to jump at it, particularly the states like Zamfara, Katsina, Benue, Plateau, Kaduna, because of Southern Kaduna. I want to believe that they will jump at this, because I think it's very clear. The only language these people understand is the language of force. It's the language of the might of the federal government. If someone like Erufai, who won't govern a state that is ravaged by insecurity, can come out clearly to say that bandits do not repent, that the only bandit that have repented is the one that have died. That's all ideology is to disalive them, send them to their creator who have the ultimate power to judge them. So you now understand that it is the right thing to do for the federal government to acquire monopoly of coercive power to deal with them. Because for me, the government cannot give any excuse, whether at the level of the state governments, federal government, local government. They must all synergize and call the locals into it so that we can see an end to it. Because the constitution is very clear on the issue of security of life and property, particularly what should constitute the primary purpose of governance. The constitution says that the welfare of the people and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance, and this is section 14, subsection 2b of 1999 constitution as amended. It's unambiguous, it's very clear. So you can clearly see that it is a responsibility that's incumbent in the offices of all the governors, all the local government chairmen, and Mr. President himself. Hence, they are taking an oath to that regard, to protect lives and property. And I want to say that Nigerians, particularly the patriotic ones, are very much behind federal government and state governments in this quest to rid the society out of banditry. But I must say that when it comes to Fulani Militias of Nigerian extraction, that we are dealing with a very formidable force. Because according to Global Terrorism Index, it said that the Fulani Militias of Nigerian extraction is the fourth most dangerous terrorist organization in the world. So you can clearly see that we are dealing with a very formidable force that require the might of federal government. That is why I am particularly happy when I saw the statement that came from the Director General of DSS, who encouraged that communities should be empowered to be the first line of defense in case of invasion, as we currently witness in different parts of the country. And I want to believe that his position may have added to shape the mind of Mr. President in arriving at the position that forest guards should be given so much energy. And I want to say particularly I'm happy with Enugu State government that started it, and this will encourage other states to jump at it with speed of light, particularly areas where activities of Fulani Militias, banditry, kidnapping, maiming is order of the day. Because for me, Life is sacrosanct. As humans, we don't have what it takes to create life. Once life is gone, it only takes the grace of God to return such person to life. So what we should do as a people is that everything that is humanly possible should be done to protect their lives and property. More so, as the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria already put such responsibility on the shoulders of all the governors and Mr. President. A bigger picture of it is, hence, the president himself has made it very clear that the forest guards will be equipped, will be trained to give them capacity. When I mean capacity to have the ammunition, the weapon to fight this menace. Because that was the only difference we had under the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari. For obvious reasons, the administration of Muhammadu Buhari did not allow security arrangement at the state levels to be armed. Particularly, we saw that in the southwestern part of the country, a situation where the former governor of Ondo State, Akere Dolu, may so rest in peace, was always at loggerhead with, of course, the then President Muhammadu Buhari, that if you could allow civilian JTF in the north to be armed, what stops you from allowing Amateku to be armed? Because Amateku is a creation of out of state House of Assembly in the southwestern part of the country. But now that we are seeing the president coming out boldly to assert that the forest guards will be strengthened, is a welcome development, and I want to believe that he meant every bit of what he said. Hence, we are already seeing success from locals. But again, let me quickly say that there is every need for the locals to be well positioned in those security arrangements. Because what we are seeing, just like I said earlier on, all crime is local, and we must understand it from that angle. But particularly, those states where we have these issues must embrace this with speed of light, so that the lives of Fulani, the lives of Adaleru, we know that it's no longer business as usual. Because just like the governor of Zamfara State asserted recently, that his own capacity as a governor, that he has been able to acquire some level of technology that enables him to monitor the movement and location of bandits, that the only thing that is lacking is the power to command the security architecture to move them into operation. But now, the federal government are giving so much energy to forest guard. I want to believe that that lacuna has been addressed, and that the Zamfara State government in particular will jump at it. Because I want to say that we are not happy with the way and manner life is being wasted in that part of the country. And for those who seek canvas for amnesty for the bandits, I have this for you. Because we saw in sometime 2019, where the then Senate Committee Chairman on Army, talking about Senator Alain Duma, we make a very scary revelation about the number of military personnel who are buried in Maiduguri Cemetery. Talking about 840 something personnel. And these are people who are, or rather who were killed by insurgents, by Boko Haram. And somebody will now come out and say, give them amnesty, treat them with kid glove, negotiate with them, don't acquire weapons to fight them. And all this I'm talking about came from Gumi. That's why I encourage Mr. President to ignore such character and move in with every action that he deserves to deal with them. Because for me, the North must have a pivotal role to play in this. Because if you look at the issue of insecurity, it started from the northern part of the country, particularly this issue of banditry. But currently, it's already been exported to the southern part of the country. That is why it should be addressed as early as possible, as quickly as possible. Because to have it, it started before now, kidnapping for ransom, maiming, raping, was only restricted to the northern part of the country. But currently, we're already witnessing it in this southern part of the country. And the best the government can do is to write to the occasion and address it. Because whether we like it or not, it behoves on the government to protect lives and property. And that they must do in synergy with the local. Because for me, the issue of insecurity demands for a symbiotic relationship, synergy between the three tiers of government and the locals. That is the best way to address it. Because once criminals, bandits, terrorists, whether they are leaders, whether those their lieutenants are arrested, prosecuted to act as deterrent to others, of course, it will deter other people from going into similar crime. I understand that the federal government through Nigerian army made it very clear recently that they already neutralized the cousin of Fulani, who doubled as his field commander. It's a welcome development, I must say. But we hope to see more of that. Because for me, two things is certain. One is either those bandit leaders, those bandits are arrested and prosecuted to act as deterrent to others, or they are neutralized in the various theaters of operation. Whichever one comes first, I think is legitimate thing to do. Because you cannot take up arms illegally and start maiming people, start kidnapping for ransom. We see where in videos where these Fulani henchmen or other Fulani bandits will be displaying wraps of naira which they ostensibly collected as ransom. In some cases, they start throwing up and allowing it to move around in the air and waste it. So we're going to show that these are demons. These people have no value for human life. So what then is their interest? If at the end of the day they collect the whole money, waste it, and of course the manner we see them deal with the money, we're going to show that the only way, the best thing the government can do is to acquire monopoly of currency power, just like I said earlier on, smoke them out of the hiding places, set them running, and bring them to justice. That is what makes the government ultimate. Because for me, I don't think an American government, Israeli government, Russian government, name it, UK government, will go and start negotiating with bandits. There are circumstances or other circumstances that may be permissible for such negotiation. For instance, under the atmosphere of Chibok girls adoption, Dapchi girls adoption, you understand that you have some Nigerians who are in captivity and that maybe going for their rescue will endanger their life. Under that circumstance, it is advisable to go for negotiation. But not a situation where the likes of Tojibelo, the likes of Adaleru, not that they have people in captivity, the government is trying to negotiate, state governments anyway, not federal government, is trying to negotiate with them. But the question is, how long do you continue to sustain that such negotiation? Because if you negotiate with them, definitely they make their demand and perhaps money. The question is, each time they feel dissatisfied and return to the trenches to start maiming, killing, raping, kidnapping, what do you do next? So we go to show that that approach is wrong because it's not sustainable. It's like postponing the evil days. So the best bet is, as quickly as possible, as a government, possess monopoly of currency power, smoke them out of the hiding places, set them running, and bring them to justice. That is the best approach. Anything other than that is cosmetic. It's cosmetic because it's not enduring. It's cosmetic because it is going to last but a short while. It is just a temporary relief. But the one that is permanent is to acquire monopoly of currency power, to police every inch of Nigerian territorial integrity, arrest any recalcitrant character, prosecute such person to act as deterrent to others, just as the leaders of a terrorist organization or group is already having their day in court, cooling off in the detention or in jail. Yes, I must say that is the best treatment. Because currently, others who hear that will now know that it's no longer business as usual. I must say it's a welcome development, particularly that arrest and prosecution, because before now, we seldom see prosecution of bandit leaders or bandit members or criminals or terrorists. But now that I was started seeing it, I must say it's a welcome development, and I commend the government for that bold move. And we hope to see more arrests and more prosecution so that the society can be sanitized. Meanwhile, I must say very big thank you for attending this Media.